Good, Josh? Your boy Smoke All Head from the Smoke All Podcast. And we here with another installment of the Smoke Break, eHEFpn edition. And you know we bring you everything. Everything. All sports, men and women, on and off their respective courts and fields. This is just a little recap, you know what I'm saying? It's something to get us caught up in the world of sports. We've been going for a minute, but we back. We powered by the Smoke All Podcast and the Unbound Lifestyle. Think, Live, Be. All apparel available at the unboundlifestyle.com. And let's get to it, man. It's been a minute. I miss y'all. I know y'all miss us. We're going to start off with the lone sport right now that's unfortunately on the break, and that's baseball. Sadly, but unfortunately, shout out to the Dodgers, but sadly, they beat our Yankees and all that. It's all good. I definitely like the direction that the Yankees went this year. We kind of struck out as far as free agency this year. Juan Soto was one of the players that helped get us to the World Series along with Aaron Judge and everybody else. But he decided to go across the waters, and he's actually with the Mets now, which is crazy. His deal was about $700-something million. It's just crazy. It's just sad to see him go across the water, but it is what it is. We had a good season last year, and I can't fault him or blame him for that. But we definitely made some moves for this year as far as the direction that we're going free agency-wise. So I like to see what the Yankees doing. Seen that we signed Paul Goldschmidt. I said we still got Jazz Chisholm. And we made a few other moves too. We got a Matt Freed. We got another pitcher move, and we definitely building up. We're still trying to add to it, so the Yankees ain't never done. And we also made another move. I'm definitely gonna get back to y'all with that. That's not mentioned to me, but you know how we do. I'm still shocked about that Soto deal, so it's all good. But let's keep it rolling to another sport that's not actually in its activeness, but we still active. Shout out to the WNBA. This season was definitely amazing. It brought us the most beneficial economic increase. They brought it on and off the court. I'm not even gonna lie. Even down to the draft, the ladies were looking amazing. They were looking amazing. It ain't no more of the back in the days looking rough and tough. You know what I'm saying? What my man David Stern said that time. Some nappy-headed hoes. Now we ain't doing none of that. Shout out to the black women out there. Y'all definitely put on. Even down to the Angel Reese's, we already know about the Rakia Jacksons. You ladies did amazing. Cameron Brink. And of course, the number one pick, Caitlin Clark. She really changed the landscape of WNBA basketball this year. If you had her coming into your city, you was guaranteed to have a sellout. Now, I don't think y'all understood what I'm saying. If your team didn't sell out no other game, when she came to your stadium, you sold out. Let's take it a bigger step. If you played in a little arena that normally sat a few people, when Caitlin Clark came into town, you went to a bigger arena. Okay, this is how much of an economic change this young lady has had in the WNBA. And that definitely lit a fire under some of the OGs. They was talking a lot of smack when she first got there. Because the first couple games, they was roughing her up. I ain't gonna lie. Them coming across them pick and rolls and pick and pops. It's a difference between the NBA and college. You know what I'm saying? So she definitely had to have her growing pains. But when she got it rolling, she got it rolling. And respect to her, Angel Reese, she was setting records for double-doubles, going crazy. She got hurt toward the end of the year. So that kind of hurt the state the Chicago Sky was in. And along with her and other players, they got hurt and they traded Marina Mayberry. So that kind of definitely changed the outlook on that. But they definitely had a season to remember. They broke records TV views wise. This season they're actually getting expansion teams, and also they have a new TV deal. So their contracts are definitely about to start stepping it up. And to put a little cap on their season, shout out to the New York Liberty, who won their first championship in franchise history, defeating the Minnesota Lynx, led by superstars Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Finals MVP Jonquel Jones. From me to y'all, I'm not a Liberty fan, but shout out to the Liberty. Y'all definitely held it down for the city. First championship since 2010, I believe, when the Giants took it. So in professional sports. So shout out to y'all. That was major. I definitely see back-to-back in y'all future, but my agent's gonna have something to say about that. And to wrap up the WNBA, the reason why I said The league isn't active, but the ladies are still active because normally a lot of the ladies they go overseas during this time and still make money because unfortunately the WNBA contracts ain't like the NBA contracts where they can live, a little luxurious on off season. But what we have now is we have a we have a new league that just started this year. It's called the Unrivaled League. It's a 3-on-3 league. We thought it would have the half court setting, but it's actually a full court setting. The court's a little smaller, but it's actually 3-on-3 full court. Me and Smoke Our Dad was just watching a little bit of it earlier on YouTube, and it definitely looks amazing. I'm definitely happy for the ladies. They're definitely doing something great. Shout out to Brianna Stewart and Nafisi Kalia. They're like the two who spearheaded this whole venture process. And we have some key investors that's also I learned about earlier this morning, which is Giannis Antetokounmpo, Carmelo Anthony, Gino Auriemma, the head coach of UConn, Coco Gauff, Billie Jean King, both tennis legends. Billie Jean King, tennis legend, Coco Gauff, soon to be legend. Alex Morgan, U.S. Women's National Soccer Team, Michael Phelps. Megan Ramapo, also on the U.S. Women's National Team, Dawn Staley, head coach of South Carolina, and Juju Watkins. And also equity via NIL deals, we'll get into that later, is Paige Beckers and Flo J. Johnson. And shout out to Flo J because she also does music, so you'll definitely be hearing her name more often on the regular podcast. But back to it, we're just going to say shout out to the WNBA. They're still doing big things, and we definitely will be bringing you unrivaled coverage. Now, let's go over to college football. There's a first for everything, and that's what the NCAA Division I FBS brought us this season. The first ever 12-team playoff system, which raised a lot of eyebrows as well as blood pressure. With this format and seating placement, and with the state of the NIL era, having its biggest impact over the landscape of college sports has changed tremendously. And to add to that, a lot of teams have left their respective conferences for other or new conferences, leaving a lot of history and rivalry for a bigger bag. NIL era is something that's very, very, very profitable for a lot of these young athletes. It has its positive as well as its negative, but I feel like the more positive you are as a person, the less negative it will become. And that's just with anything in life. But I think that the NIL era is definitely booming. We have athletes leaving schools, going to other schools in the transfer portal for a bigger bag. Recently, we had Carson Beck that was on Georgia. He left Georgia for Miami. But, there's about $10 million in NIL deals. And Travis Hunter made a little joke on Twitter or, as X. And he said, I'm a little jealous. I'm not the winner, and I ain't getting no 10 mil. You know what I mean? A little jokey joke, but it's always a little truth in a jokey joke. But that's just the impact the NIL era has definitely had on college sports. It has athletes making big time decisions, and a lot of athletes aren't going to make it to the NFL. They're not going to make it to the NBA, so they have to get their money and they got to get their bag the best way they can. I heard of an amazing story with Armando Bacot. He actually could have left North Carolina his junior year, but he came back for his senior year. Everybody said, why he coming back? He didn't really care about his draft stock. What he was caring about was securing the bag. He bought a hotel that was basically needing of renovations and all this kind of stuff. Now the hotel is in the stage of getting renovated, and it's about to be business is booming for that young man. So this is what's happening for a lot of these athletes. I'm so happy they're able to actually, know their worth and get their worth. To put a cap on college football, because NIL is always in college basketball. The 12-man playoff system was, one to remember. It definitely I feel like they got to get the seedings right. But through all of that, we have the championship game scheduled for Monday, which is today. On inaugural day. And it's between University of Notre Dame and Ohio State Buckeyes. This definitely should be a good game. I think it's going to be a little high scoring more than people think, even though both teams have good defenses. They both have good offenses. So it's just going to be one to remember, and we're going to see how that happens. To keep it rolling with football, but to the pro side, We had a lot of new faces and new places before the season started. It was a lot of question marks what a lot of players are going to do that's been already been on teams. You have players who were rookies looking to the sophomore year, and you also had players who were just like undervalued and went to other places to find their value. So we have a few running backs who actually went through that, which is Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, and Derrick Montgomery. They were all on teams last year who definitely didn't do good. You have the Giants, you have the Titans, you have the Raiders, and you have the Bears. All of those teams basically decided to let those guys go for nothing. And boy, did it backfire. Those guys all make a playoff this year. Um, Saquon and Derrick Henry had one of the best running back rushing seasons this year. Um, Saquon could have broken Eric Dickerson's record, but they decided to rest him for the last game. And as you, if you watch the games over this past weekend, you'll understand why. That was a good move. But benching him, he was only maybe 105 yards away, so he could have broken a record. Eric Dickerson is definitely one of them OGs who does not want his record broken. He's been on record saying that many a times. He does not want his record broken. And I respect that. So he's never in a happy mode to see somebody break his record. A lot of teams definitely didn't do what they should have done this year. A lot of teams underachieved. My Cowboys, oh man, I don't even want to talk about it. Y'all know how it go for me. Dak definitely got hurt, but he really wasn't doing his part when he was there. Then Parsons got hurt. Diggs got hurt. We had a lot of injuries on the defense, so it didn't look the same. And it's just, I don't like the direction that it's going right now. But maybe that all could change. They interview a few people. I've seen Coach Prime on that list of interviewees. And it's a possibility that Shador and Shiloh will get to Dallas. We might see Coach Prime in Dallas, but I'm not going to hang my hat on that because I believe that he's comfortable in Colorado. He's living a good life. And I actually believe that no matter what Jerry Jones or anybody else says, not Jerry Jones, no matter what anybody else says, I believe Jerry Jones is going to do what Jerry Jones is going to do at the end of the day. And when that happens, we'll never know. With the state of the Cowboys in until he allows somebody else that's official VP or official general manager to take the wins. Let's keep it rolling to the playoff side. We are definitely here. We had our first two rounds. This past weekend, we had the Texans and the Chiefs. We had the Ravens and the Bills. We had the Commanders and the Lions, and the Ravens and the Eagles. On Saturday, the Chiefs, they got the Texans out of there, handled them pretty well. And the Commanders, shockingly, definitely shocked the world. They took down the number one seed, Detroit Lions. Cam is a fool. He said the reason why the Lions lost because they had Jello perform at halftime. That's mad OD, Cam, do what he do. Yeah, they definitely took a tough loss, being the number one seed. Jaden Daniels, you're definitely going to be hearing his name from me on any smoke break or even the regular podcast. That guy is special. And then Sunday, we had the Rams and the Eagles. The Eagles definitely pulled off a good game late. Saquon Barkley went crazy, over almost 200 rushing yards, but over 200 total yards. He definitely hit the ticket for me, but everybody else sold out. He had 2 touchdowns, and then you had the nightcap. We had the Ravens and the Bills, and the Bills, they definitely handled the Ravens. The Ravens tried to make a run for it, but at the end of the day, it wasn't enough. When you put yourself in a position to win, and then you get down and make that 2-point conversion, and then you get short shot hands, and Mark Andrews do you like that, I felt for Lamar last night. I really did, because that was a game that the Ravens definitely was supposed to at least go into overtime to give themselves a chance to win. And Mark Andrews, this is not no slander or hate to him. He's a great tight end, and it was just an unfortunate situation to let you know that even the greats, they have their nights where they're off, because he also dropped a key pass on a 3rd down on a drive before that. You know what I'm saying? So even with that drive or with that pass and then the other pass he dropped, that's the game to me, even through all the other mistakes. So, you know what I mean? But there were other mistakes, so you can't just criticize that. So for Championship Sunday, next week, we got the Bills going into Kansas City. Josh Allen is 4-1 versus Patrick Mahomes in the regular season. Patrick Mahomes is 3-0 versus Josh Allen in the playoffs when it counts. Then we have the Commanders going up the I-95 to Philly for a bite of that cheesesteak. Heard y'all. And them boys is definitely looking ready. I believe the games, times and all that I'll have for you, and which one is first and all of that. But that's definitely on Championship Sunday, next Sunday. And I'm going with the Chiefs. I ain't gonna lie, overall. Like, I already got them on my ticket. So I kind of gotta go with them. But yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs overall. I feel like a lot of other teams got an opportunity to definitely win. So it's definitely it's up to the Bills. If the Bills, they bring the A game and they don't do what they normally do versus Kansas City, then it's gonna be Buffalo on somebody else. But for the most part, I believe it's gonna be Kansas City, Washington, and then it's gonna be Kansas City winning the Super Bowl. But we'll see. Now, let's roll over to some college basketball. No different from the football, the NIL era has done its big one on the basketball court as well. With big decisions bringing in big dollars, athletes control their destiny and bank account at the same damn time. Making recruiting easy for some, but tougher for others, the midway mark has not disappointed at all. With a few sleeper teams, for the most part, the usual are doing what they normally do. But my boys, y'all already know, Duke, looking prime and ready for the natty. Our superstar Cooper Flag is set to go #1 in this year's draft with a stellar play and 42-point performance in Cameron that set a new record. Making no mistake, this is a loaded class with other special talents like Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, son of Ron Harper, among other talent. And this will be one of the draft classes that we can also put up with the other nice ones. So just overall quick wrap up with college basketball. It's still a lot of time. It's still a lot to go. The updated standings, Duke is #2. You know, Auburn is 1, but they won't be there for long. Even in our 2 losses that we had, we lost one game by 5 and the other by 2. So we lost the other by 1 by 3 and 1 by 2. So I know it's no more than 6-7 points that we've lost in those 2 losses, but most of our wins have been very loud. Cooper Flag is still doing his thing. And right now, it's just a lot of talent right now in college basketball that you may not think or may not know about, but they are definitely on their game. They're definitely ready to go to the next level and do work. And to wrap it up a little bit, you know we got to talk about some NBA. It wouldn't be right. We're about to hit that All-Star break in a little minute. But just for a little current up-to-date, in the Eastern Conference, you got the 1 through 10 seeds, because now it's no longer 1 through 8, it's 1 through 10. Then 7 through 10 plays in the play-in tournament. So you got the Cleveland Cavaliers sitting #1. You got Boston #2. You got the Knicks 3. You got Milwaukee 4. You got Indiana 5. You got Atlanta 6. And in the play-in, 7 through 10 is Orlando, Miami, Detroit, and Chicago. Out of those teams, that's not in the mix, usually like Philly. That's a little surprising, but Embiid hasn't been healthy, so that's also understandable. Paul George hasn't been healthy. That's understandable, and that's just how it's going to be for them. These are 2 guys who are great. They both have superstar level, but they just can't stay healthy, and that's going to be the Achilles heel for Philly eventually. And I would say for the most part, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Toronto, and Washington, they're usually in the cellar department when it comes to the Eastern Conference. Now, as far as the 7 through 10 teams, you got Chicago, who's normally a top 16, and you got Miami, who's usually a top 16. That's not in the top 6 this year. You have Detroit, who is at 500 this year. They actually have more wins this year than all of the wins they had last year. So they are definitely doing their thing. Bickerstaff, he's doing an amazing job. He's a great coach. He did his thing in Cleveland, and now that he's in Detroit, he has those young boys playing. They got a mix of OGs like Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, and they got one more OG over there that's definitely helping Cade Cunningham and them young boys out, and that's helping them flourish. And Orlando definitely went to the injury bug, so that puts in place why they're not top 6 due to Paolo Banchero being out for about 2 months. Then you got both the Wagners out. France is out. He should be back soon, but Mo is out for the season with ACL. Suggs has been in and out with back injury, so it's kind of understandable why these teams are where they're at. And then you have your 1 through 6, which is like, okay, the Knicks was in the same, almost close to the same position, a little bit better last year. We'll get into why that is. Milwaukee's in the same thing. Same for Indiana. They're still in that top six. The shocker of anything is Cleveland with being 35-6. Nobody saw this record coming from Cleveland. They're doing amazing this year. Boston is still Boston. They of course they packed us up the first night. That's the Knicks on their championship ring night. But like I told my own, I'm not counting that game because most teams getting their rings, they're still high off that championship. And if you think you're getting a ring, you out your rabbit ass mouth. So we see them in a few weeks coming up, and that's gonna really show where we're at with them. But for the most part, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. We really started off real good. I like the direction we was going. And then the last 10 games were 4-6. So I'm not happy with the direction the Knicks are going. Cat's nursing the injury. And we need to find out what we're going to do with Mitchell Robinson. Is either we're going to trade him or he's going to come and play and be effective. Because if not, I'm hearing names like Jonas Valanciunas or DeAndre Ayton, and I will take either one of them for Mitch. Keeping it rolling to let's check out the Western Conference. Um, the 7 through 10 teams are definitely all shockers. You have 7 through 10, which is Dallas, Minnesota, Sacramento, and Phoenix. Now, Dallas, Minnesota, and Phoenix are three teams you are definitely never used to seeing in the play-in tournament. Golden State is 21-20, excuse me, sitting in the 11th seed. If the playoffs started today, they would not make the playoffs. San Antonio would not make the playoffs. New Orleans would not make the playoffs. And the 1 through 6 seeds, you still have OKC doing what they did last year. They were top of the league, so which is a good thing. Which is a surprise is Houston, 28-13. The young boys are definitely getting it together, playing with more floetic rhythm. Then you have teams like like Memphis, who are doing what they're doing, shockingly without all health being there for all games. John Moran's in and out, and Desmond Bain as well. Then you have Denver, LA at 4, 5, and 6. So right now the West is still fluctuating, trying to find its way. You have some teams that wasn't doing good that's trying to pick it up, and you know from that from that All-Star break on, you'll definitely be seeing which teams are definitely and which teams aren't ready. So yeah, that's what it is, man. We definitely can't wait for All-Star break. That's about 2 weeks away. We got the Super Bowl. The All-Star break is about 3 weeks away, excuse me. Super Bowl is about 2 weeks away. So you know how we do, man. It's smoke all half, and it's the smoke break. And then we sign them off.